10 years ago, 20 years ago, is pleading for the two-state solutions where Jews and Palestinians would have their independences, but impossible independences unless they become interdependent on each other. Now I can even no more hope for such two-state solutions, because to have a state you need to have somewhere, and there is nowhere to have a second state now, because of this immense settlements that were built all over in the occupied territories, and this wall that has confiscated, according to what is said, 45,000 dunams. That's a lot of land, the best parts of the land of the West Bank. Well, goodness, where can you make a second state? On the paper? Theoretically? So what remains in that case? The problem is that the Palestinians are here. They did not diminish, they are increasing. They are great because everything was forbidden for them except making children. And they make many children. Many children. If they can make 2 children per year, they will do it. And that's frightening Israel. Literally frightening Israel. So the Palestinians are still there more intensely, but the land is no more there. Israel finds itself cornered with own created monster, which are the settlements, and they don't know what to do with it now. A settlement with 100,000 human beings, you cannot destroy so easily. But then the settlements has taken the land of 10, 20, 30 villages. How to do, what to do, where to go. They tried all the weapons you have. There's not one kind of weapon that you did not give to Israel, even the atomic weapons. But they were not able to make any friend among the Palestinians. They only made enemies. Because they wanted to impose a de facto of peace. The peace of the slave and the peace of the Lord. The Lord saying, "Oh my slave, be happy. I, your Lord, am happy." It's not enough. It's not enough. Take your feet from my neck so I can stand up and say, "You hurt me, I forgive you." What remains in Israel today? I pray that I am wrong. I want to be wrong. I wish I am wrong, that Israel is not going towards an apartheid situation. Yeah? In fact, it is. Yeah?
And that is what you foresee in the near future.
Absolutely. Or the impossible solution, slaughter all the Palestinians. Yeah? Thing that I don't think the Jews would do, would even contemplate to do, because they know what it means to be slaughtered themselves. There is no other solution. Or to come back to the original idea, well, we are not able to make a Zionist Jewish state for the Jews, we will make a more open state, a state that guarantees all the rights, all the freedoms of the Jews, but as well the freedoms of the Christians and the Muslims, a kind of secular, democratic existence where everybody would be free to worship his God in this way or that way, or not to worship God or not to worship his God. But to respect a kind of constitution that guarantees the freedom, liberty, and well-being of everybody. That would end the Zionist movement, the Zionist ideology. So each situation becomes more complicated than the other because of these settlements that were recognized by the whole international community as illegal, except by 2 nations. No, 3 nations. Israel, Papua, and the United States. Okay?
I'd like to say something, if I may.
Please.
And why I came here. I've been here to Israel and Palestine 2 times. This is the 3rd time. And 30 years ago, I went to a meeting of the Church Women United International. And at the time, so much social turn, things were going, and people were saying, we can't get anybody to do anything, they've got passion fatigue, run that. And I remember one speaker said, Yeah, we look at problems and they're so big that we just turn away because it's not a thing that we can do. And the speaker said, start nibbling. If everybody will work on it and nibble a little, sometime you can work it down to where it's more accurate. So I have done that, and there was another thing, I had to make a report on a mission trip I'd been on. And I said, they asked, why do you go? And I said, I think one of the most wonderful scriptures for me, as I have moved out in the world and with people, is, and the Word became flesh, didn't stop there, and dwelt among us. And I said, I have learned that it is being with people, flesh and people, sharing their lives and their thinking, and understanding and love and joy comes. And when I heard this trip, we've been trying to come back. We came with Darryl last time. And one of the things where we came by here and we saw you, and when the hope was that we would have this time with you. That was one of the things. And I got your book back out and read it and felt like I visited with you. And then this year is an opportunity for most of us here are Methodists. We have studies every year. And I have just received my World Outlook, which is a Methodist mission magazine. The whole issue is on Palestine and what's going on here. And the pictures, 2 of the articles are written by Elik Bashar and his wife in that wonderful issue. A friend called me who's working on our reading program, books that fit in, said, we've just received a book, Bethlehem Besieged, written by a Lutheran minister whose church is right near the Church of the Nativity, describing life for his family in there. It had such a reality to it. I said, I want to go. I want to meet that man. I want to flesh him. I want to feel just what it was and have the inspiration from it. So one of the things with this, I have fleshed you and I'm the other. I have to walk the streets here and in Bethlehem and talk to the people at the college. I'll have a different sense of where they are, how they are, what's happening to them. And hopefully, as we have this study, which is so great to come right now, and it's supposed to be in every Methodist church, to bring the truth of what's really happening here. And I can go and say, I was there. Let me tell you what it really like when you live there and walk there, feel the pain, find still some joy there, some hope, little, but somehow or another, and try to get more and more people to understand what's going on here. And maybe it's like yeast, it'll spread and affect our government, other things. We never know. We only do so much, but without something, I want something that I can do. And so this is right now, and if you have anything to add to that, I would appreciate it, because I'm going home, touched to the bottom of my being, and my concern and my love. And if I can do anything, can't do big things, but sometimes a lot of little things can make a difference.
Thank you. Thank you. You remind me of a lady that I never saw. You're still young. She must have been very, very old. I was building one of the buildings here and she wrote me a letter. I read your books. I identify with what you're doing. That's why I decided to send you all my savings from last month. And in the envelope, there was a check for $10. If you go down to the building, to the university, one of the rooms carries the name of this lady who gave us all her savings from last month.
I won't be like that. I'll be 93 the 2nd of June.
You're still very
And I'm here.
What I want to say is not the money or the amount of money that you give or you don't give that makes a difference. It's much more what you are, your attitude, your look, your relations, the quality of what you say, surely we have to adapt to all societies. But that doesn't mean we have to be like the chameleon, to change color every time. Yeah. Huh? So thank you for your words.
I
Your
have another
inspiration. Yes,
question.
please.
Apartheid did not succeed in South Africa.
Yeah.
It was a long, hard fight for Mandela and Bishop Tutu and some of those folks. I know the situation's different, but do you find any hope in the fact that they succeeded?
Not that they succeeded that gives us hope, but the conviction that apartheid is a criminal system that cannot last. Yeah?
And it didn't.
It cannot last. It cannot.
So does that give you hope that,
Well, otherwise we have no reason to hope. If we believe that evil is stronger than good, it's better to go and find some weapons, kill yourself, kill the other, and say, to hell with this life.
How do you answer?
Life is still beautiful. Yes, please.
How do you answer the question that it's not apartheid, it's security?
Sorry?
How do you answer the question, what we have is not apartheid, but security?
What does security mean?
That is the answer to the building of the wall, the Israeli answer.
Yes, that's true. You can justify things as you want. Do you think the Nazi wanted to kill the Jews? No way. They wanted to cleanse the dirt. Is that bad, ladies? It's excellent. Dress the devil with an angel cloth and say this is an angel. Do whatever you want. But they are creating ghettos with this wall. A huge ghetto for themselves, a prison. And a prison for the other side. Is that security? Does security mean anything else than real security, than to practice justice, to walk humbly, and to give the others what you want for yourself? Yeah? Why is there lack of security? Is it because Palestinians are born against Jews? Jews are born automatically hating the Palestinians? Well, the conflict is only 60 years old. And before that, there were Jews and there were Arabs living together all over the Middle East. Did you hear of any systematic persecution since the existence of Islam in any Muslim world? Tell me, did you hear of any? None of that. Did you hear of any Christian leader who saved the Jews as the Muslim did save the Jews under Nazi regime? Maybe you don't know that. They never told you, for example, the famous story of the King of Morocco, who had 250,000 Jews in Morocco, and the Gestapo ordered him to deliver the 250,000 Jews. And the king, who is a Muslim, not a Christian like me, he said, I don't have any Jew in Morocco. They said, yes, you have 250,000. He said, these are all Moroccans first. If you want them to carry the yellow star, give me the first star so I can have it. No Jew was arrested, killed, or persecuted. So it's not a new phenomenon to live together. To be against each other is a new tragedy. Yeah? So the conflict is not a religious or a racial conflict. It's an ongoing, identical claims of two nations on the same territory. The more you take the territory of the other, the more the other will be unhappy and will do everything to say, to hell with this life, I want to end it. Yeah? How to obtain security? You can do it by ghettoizing yourself, encapsulating yourself with your God and say, I'm in heaven. In that case, I prefer to be in hell, because then I find the real God. Or you can see my security means to give the same security to our neighbor, to share the land together, the land that does not belong to me or to the Palestinian, but we need to learn how to belong to the land. That's very different. Yeah? And then we will return back to what we were before, not only good neighbors, but cooperating together, working together, protecting each other. Yeah? It's not a kind of wishful thinking, it's a kind of return to the history so that we can forget what has been going on for 67 years of denying basic rights for a nation because we were persecuted in Europe and we want, no matter who, to pay the bill for what has done against us. If you call that security, it's a miserable existence. And if you say that to the Palestinians, then they say, you are an American, you don't understand anything but the language of power, of might, of weapons. We will acquire weapons. Isn't that what Iran is doing today? So please try to question your understanding of security. Who does not like to have security? Even idiots like to have security. But security is not a question. It's the way to security. It's the way of understanding your human being. Are you an island as a human being? Or there is no human being who is an island? You are living with a community called the human community. You are living with a society called your own society, and here the society, whether I want it or not, is Jewish and Arab. And if I want to ignore the Jewish existence, I'm free to do so, but I will live in illusions. Yeah? And I will never have any security. I think that, as some famous Jews called Paul, St. Paul said, they're intelligent but they're blind.
I was,
yes.
my name's Hamid, I was raised Muslim. For the last 8 years I've been helping with community development in refugee camps in Jordan. And I've never met and developed a friendship with a Palestinian that didn't live in a refugee camp. And so I came here to meet a different type of Palestinian.
Bad luck with me, I'm a refugee.
But the attitude that you're expressing here is refreshing.
I hope so.
Have you ever been accused of being a dreamer?
No, no. I'm not a dreamer. How can I dream with all these buildings that I built around me? I can't be a dreamer.
Maybe that's how these buildings got to be, because you have the ability to dream.
Maybe it depends what you mean by dreams again, yeah? Yeah?
You-
We in the Middle East, we don't have dreams here. We have visions.
You have students here from the 4 different groups. How do you attract Jewish students here to this college?
I don't attract them.
How do they hear? How do they
I
know?
open the doors and they come. Well, it's not difficult, ma'am. It's not difficult. It's not easy either. For the first time that I tried to campaign to have Jews, I tried with the neighborhood. We organized 10 parents' meetings to convince them if their children come to our excellent school that is much better than most of their schools, their children will not have a stomach ache. They will not be blinded. They will be open. They have excellent education with excellent discipline. We as church schools in Israel, we are known for being the best in the whole country. According to the statistics that were delivered from the Prime Minister's office 2 years ago, the Christians who finished their high school with 100% success are 76%. The Jews are 56%. The Muslims go to 30%. The Druze are not mentioned. Okay? So it's not impossible for the Jews to envy us, although we receive 65% of the subsidies that the state gives to the schools. 65% from what the Jewish schools receive. Yeah? So when they decided to try for the first year, and the buses came with the children, Jewish children, I was frightened. No, I will not let them go into class. It's too dangerous. I was full of prejudice also. So I ordered 2 other buses, mixed the children together, and said, now you go for a field trip the whole day, I don't want to see you. And we sent them to Mount Carmel for the whole day to watch the bird, the vultures, and the wild animals. When they came in the evening, believe me, most of them forgot that they were Jews and Palestinians. They discovered that they were kids. They spoke about their internet, about their talking together on the internet. They spoke about sports. They spoke about girls when they are boys, about boys when they are girls. They exchanged addresses. It's good when people discover that they are just boys and girls. Yeah. The second year, 3 more schools wanted to send their children. I said, no, stop, I don't have place. Yeah? I need the space, I don't have it. If I had the space, I would enroll at least 1,000 more Jews and Palestinians. We don't have it. Okay? But the fact is there, we're living together. We started in 1982 with 80 children, aged 13, 14 years old. Now, 2 years ago, we reached up to 4,500 students. 290 faculty members. Among them, 100 have the PhD. 92 have the master degrees in different fields. They are Muslims, Christians, and normal Jews. Goodness, it's not a breaking news to have Jews with us. It's the daily banality. I have 32 Jewish men and women teaching, working with us for us. I hire them, and when needed, I fire them. Yeah? So, looks strange for you, right? This is not what comes in your newspapers or in your media that makes reality beautiful, and that's not helpful for the war lords.
How is the university coming along?
Bad.
Bad.
We're still struggling with the authorities to give us accreditation to become a full-fledged Israeli institution. It's a strange story. 6 years ago, we felt we needed to open a university. And we knew if we go to Jerusalem, they would not even give us time to listen to us 1 minute. Who are you? You are Palestinian, you are Arab, you are Christian. You come to speak about university? Wow, that's not possible. So since I was convinced they will not listen to us, I did not go to them. But I realized that the shortest way to penetrate into the depth of Jerusalem passes through Washington, D.C. Okay? So I bought a ticket and flew to Washington, D.C. and decided to pop into the residence of your former Secretary of State, James Baker. I parked the car in front of his residence. You did not have all the nasty measures you have today with all these cameras and all these suspicious things, horrible things that reduce you to nullity. And James Baker refused to have any special security measure around his residence. He told me later on, I wanted to live with the same risks and the same protection that every other American enjoys. So I popped into his residence, knocked on the door, he was not there. His wife, Susan Baker, was there. She opened the door herself. That's already strange. She saw me, she started. It was not the person she expected. She immediately said, "Who are you?" I said, "Ma'am, I am another man from Galilee." She said, "Do you have an appointment with us?" I said, "I'm sorry, we men from Galilee, we never make appointments, we make appearances." That's how everything started. She invited me in to the kitchen, not to the living room. And she gave me something to drink that I never liked. A glass of iced tea. I don't know how you drink that. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Then after 2-3 minutes, she said, "I'm sorry, I can't receive you for longer time. This is my telephone. You call me, I will make an appointment for you with the Secretary of the State. Now I'm busy with 20 American ladies." She was taking me the out exit door. "We're having a Bible study hour." I said, "What are you studying, ma'am?" She said, "We're having a look on the so-called Sermon on the Mount." I said, "Wow, I pity you, good luck." She said, "Why you pity me?" I said, "Because it was not written by an American genius. It was written by a peasant next door to my village. And he did not write that in English, American English even. He wrote it in our Semitic language. So how can you understand? What will you understand? I don't know. Good luck." And she had this reaction. "Can you help us understand it better?" What could I expect more than that? I was introduced this time to the living room, not to the kitchen. I want to be very short. That's how what opened to me the door to so many American universities. And I linked with one of these universities who has a Methodist background, the University of Indianapolis. And in 3 months' time, we got the accreditation from the North Central Association. With this accreditation, I came to Jerusalem. They cannot say no. I said, "Either you accept to listen to me, or I will run without you and you will never reach me more. Let's talk." And we sat there and talked. They saw all our papers. The chairman of that committee, after 1.5 hours of discussion with my associates who were Jewish and Palestinian, he said, "You have one serious handicap, all the rest is perfect." I said, "What's it?" He said, "You are Christians." I said, "You remind me of how they dealt with you in the West, when they wrote on public places, 'No admittance for dogs and Jews.' You have replaced Jews by Christians, probably. I promise you I will do everything to eradicate this idea from your mind." Well, 1 year later he died, not because of that. So, and they accepted our papers, they said we'll study them. It took them 2.5 years to read 3 measures that we wrote, the curriculum. We exchanged 264 letters in these 2.5 years. Every time they invented a problem, an obstacle, we became more determined to continue and not to give up. And 4 years ago, in July, the end of July, the telephone call came from Jerusalem. "Mr. Chacour, we are happy till you have nothing anymore against you. You can open your university." I had only 2 months to recruit the minimal amount of students we needed, which was 80 students. I sent all my faculty 2 by 2 to every village in Galilee. In 1.5 months, they recruited 126 students, boys and girls. And October, 10th of October, 4 years ago, I stood in the gym here and I proclaimed that now the first Arab-Israeli Christian Arab-Israeli University is opened. The press was there, the students were there, the faculty was there. Students went to their studies. And I went to my office, I found myself on my knees, repeating these words, Lord, now you can take your servant in peace. I have seen your salvation. That was what it meant to me. I did not get any answer. Normally when I prayed, God does not speak back to me. But I understood that he wanted almost to say, boy, you're crazy. You made the baby and you want me to care for it? I don't need you up there. You stay and care for your baby. And that's what we are still doing. Israel decided a year ago to close all the foreign branches of universities in Israel. And we are a foreign branch of the University of Indianapolis. I don't know why, but because of their conversion, I think they wrote saying, if you want to survive, you have to apply to become a full-fledged Israeli institution. I was going to say, damn you, this is what we wanted and you never wanted to give us. So we had to retranslate our curricula from English into Hebrew and send them. And they promised us on the 17th of February to have this year, to have the meeting with the Minister of Education in order to give us the accreditation. Can you believe it? They met on the 17th of February and they gave us this excuse. We were not able to discuss because we discovered that our term has been ended 1 week before we came to meet. Yeah. Now we are waiting for the 30th of this month. They will meet again. We have already a commitment from the chairman of the Higher Education Council of Israel with the chairman of the curricula for universities to come here on the 30th of this month and coming back from Venezuela intentionally to receive them here. We hope to have a positive answer. Financially, they taught me something. They never said we don't want to help you. They always promised to help. They never helped. They taught me what means to live in the promised land. The land of the promise. But we have some problems with that. Yeah, it's an exciting life, no?
Just quickly, what is the breakdown of the faculty you have as far as Arab, Israeli, or any other?
Sorry, I was absent-minded when you started your question. Sorry.
What is the breakdown of your faculty?
Yeah.
Is that a concern with them?
No, not at all. They cannot believe that we have 32 Jewish members. It's unprecedented. Yeah. We have many Muslims, many more Christians. We have Druze and Jewish on both the faculty and the students' body. Yeah. In that sense, we are unique in Israel. As well, we are unique in the sense that the child who joins us can join at the age of 3 years and continue up through university. Yeah. Yeah. That's it, the answer to your question. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. I hope it's not because you're tired that you listen. But it's good to be with you to share these concerns. Have us in your prayers. Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe you share together with me why did you come to this country? What are the reasons? You've been comfortably seated at home and everything you want around you, and you decided to travel, to go somewhere else into a country, a real country of contrast. And you will see the immense contrasts when you cross from here to Bethlehem. It's no more than 20th century. You will go back to the 16th or 15th century in the worst sense of the going back. Yeah? And not because these people are retarded, but because they have been deprived from every kind of human rights, every kind of human opportunity. They are living literally in prisons, and you will see that as soon as you cross this strange wall. You will feel already not so good, and that's very bad, because in building such walls we cannot hope for peace, because peace does not need walls. Peace needs bridges, I think. And that does not make any bridge. You know, for building bridges, we need first to test the ground on both sides of the river. If we test the ground both sides of the river, we'll study where to put the bridge. And for you as Americans, you will see something that you would not like. Not only the wall. You will see the oppression. You will see the checkpoints. You will see things that you did not suspect that they exist in that density. In the West Bank alone, there are 500 military checkpoints. 500, yes. So you would be very easily tempted to take sides, very easily, to question your friendship to the Jews who are your neighbors or your countrymen and women, and to re-question your attitude towards the Palestinians. For me, in order to build bridges as an outsider to the Palestinians and to the Jewish nation, you have first of all to be extremely balanced. If you have Jewish friends, that's fine. Take their side, encourage them, give them more friendship, but do not accept to become one-sided with them against the Palestinians. And the same goes with regards to the Palestinians. You will see so many atrocities, so many horrors, so many unacceptable things. Imagine you are living in Bethlehem, you're a Bethlehemite, and for many, many, many years, you are imprisoned in the town of Bethlehem. You cannot go even to Jerusalem, 6 kilometers away, to find job or just to have some feeling of freedom, of liberty. What would you do? What your children would do? You go nearby, you will see the refugees camps. And these refugees have sinned. They made one sin. Their sin is that they were born Palestinians. That's the only thing they did. They never persecuted the Jews. They never persecuted anybody else. They never took the land of the Jews. Their sin is that they were born Palestinians. Almost like the sin of the Jews some 60 years ago, when they were born Jews, then they should be killed. That's the only reason for the Holocaust. Yeah? All the other reasons are false reasons. And you will feel that pain, that suffering, that frustration, and that despair also, because they say there's no solution. We don't see the future. So out of commiseration, you are tempted to take our side, the Palestinians, and to become one-sided with us against the Jews. Then you can build no bridge. You're no more good to build bridges. Allow me to give you a picture of the situation as I see it. And that picture is illustrated through my own identity, who I am. I'm a Palestinian. I'm a very proud Palestinian. have nothing to be ashamed of for being Palestinian. Not a thing. I'm a Palestinian Arab. My mother language is not the English or the French, it's the Arabic language. I'm a Christian. That complicates already the picture. And to make it perfectly complicated, I'm also a loyal citizen of Israel. All these together form the core of the conflict in the Middle East and the core of the conflict in the world, and the reason for the miseries you pass through in the United States when you cross your borders, your airports or otherwise. It is the reason why every other human being for you and for others is a suspected enemy, is no more a friend. We have to check you before you go in any building. Yeah? It's no more the culture of trust, of confidence, of believing in the other. It's the culture of suspicion, of mistrust, of eager yearning to find the enemy in the other rather than the friend. And that's a horrible policy. It's not bearable anymore. The reason for all that is my identity being Palestinian, Arab, Christian, citizen of the state of Israel. And since all these facets are in contradiction with each other, there is no hope for any peace, neither in the United States nor elsewhere. We are trying to change our consideration of these affiliations. Instead of looking at the contradiction that is inherent to these affiliations, we are looking for the common element that is between all of them. In other terms, we are asking whether it is possible to make unity within the diversity. Is it possible to respect the diversity that we are, Jews, Muslims, Christians, Palestinian, Arab, Jewish, Israeli? Is it possible to respect these diversities and to make of them a kind of mosaic with a common vision? And to my mind, it is possible, and we have proved that it is possible in a very small scale. We do believe that through education, around the tables of the school, when you have a Jew, a Muslim, a Christian, a Druze, and they study together, they play together, they make research together, then they are able to be invited to write the history of their future together. I think through education, we can turn the formula of contradictions to complementarity. Yeah? And here in the school, that I was extremely privileged to start in 1982 on a mountain that was called the Mount of the Ogre, because it was so far away from the village, it was always dark. Nobody went here that night. It's for wild animals only. They called it the Mount of Ogre. And when I climbed here, I said, no, we have this piece of land, I will call it the Mount of Light. And we will build a school in this place. Yeah. And we started in 1982. I started to build the school, but it was extremely difficult. As a citizen of Israel, I have to be an abiding and law-abiding citizen, and the law stipulates I need a building permit. So I applied for a building permit. And the answer was very clearly denied. You are not allowed to build a school. But I know our needs more than the government knows our needs. They know what we should not do in order to develop ourselves. So I decided to build without building permit. I'm sorry. And K Surah Surah. And 3 months later, the police showed out where is your building permit? I don't have it. Well, how can you build without building permits, Mr. Chacour? Well, sir, I never built with building permits. It's all with sand, cement, steel, stones, and so on. He said, but you don't do like that in a civilized country. I said, I wish we were civilized. You would have given me a permit to build a school. You cannot have a civilized country that prohibits people from having education. So I was summoned to court. He ordered us to stop the building. We did not stop, but I went to court. It was very hard. It's the first time in my life that I stand in the presence of a judge. The judge was Jewish, the police was Jewish, and I was Palestinian. So what could you expect? Normally the worst. And the police wanted the destruction of this illegal building to give an example for everybody who dares put one stone on the other without the blessing of the government. When I had to speak, I said to the judge, if you destroy this building, you will give me a great favor. I will go take pictures, go all around the world, show what Israel does for those who build schools, and I will raise money enough to build 10 other illegal schools, and you will have business with me all your life. He said, what's the alternative, Mr. Chacour? The law comes first. I said, you order this police, and he will legalize this illegal building, and we'll become friends. I will tell that all over the world. He said, it's not that easy. You go and bring your lawyer. Why don't you have a lawyer? I said, it's too expensive. He said, Father Chacour, you don't proceed like that. You need a lawyer. You are not allowed to defend yourself in such cases. I said, give me enough time. He said, what do you want? 4 months, 5 months? I give you 6 months. You return with your lawyer. And he decided, I don't know why in the beginning, that the 6 months would end on Sunday morning, 10 o'clock. I protested. I'm a priest, Sunday morning, I'm in church, I don't come to court. He said, it's your business. Either you come, or we will decide in absentia, and that will be the destruction of your school, with no doubt. I said, let it be. He said, if you're not happy, you are allowed in this democratic country to write a letter 1 week before the session, and we'll see what we can do. 1 week before the end of the 6 months, I wrote a letter to the judge saying, I can't come to court. I'm in church praying for justice and peace. And since you don't dare ask a rabbi to come to court on Saturday morning, I am like the rabbi for the Christians. I don't go to court on Sunday morning. So the answer came immediately the next day, okay, I postponed the session for another 6 months that would end on Sunday morning, 10 o'clock. I did not understand in the beginning. I rewrote a letter and he re-postponed for the 3rd time for 6 months that would end on Sunday morning, 10 o'clock. And he continued postponing 6 months, Sunday morning, 10 o'clock, 6 times. 36 months. Till I was able to find a way to buy a building permit. Then I called the judge. I have the building permit. If you want, I can show it to you. He said, okay. Then I decide that next session will be next Monday morning at 10 o'clock. And we have to cleanse the society from dirt, and they killed 6 million Jews. Till they were able to open the eyes and see, well, goodness, these who were killed were not so dirty, they were just the victims of a dirty ideology, the Nazi ideology. It was too late. And nobody can ever repair the damage done. It's impossible. And the Western world was guilt-ridden, very heavily guilt-ridden, and also felt the responsibility for what happened. And what did they want to do? Wiedergutmachung, to repair the evil done, as if they can bring back the millions who were killed because of the criminal ideology, the Nazi ideology. They did not have the wisdom of the Bedouins in the desert, that a crime that was once committed is a crime and will remain a crime forever. No one can repair it. If we can do anything, is remember it in order not to renew similar crimes. But the Western world is able to do everything. They wanted Wiedergutmachung, to do good back again, provided some third person pays the bill. Which means, provided we create another victim that will be the victim of the victim. And that's the Palestinians. My dear sisters and brothers, I, as a Palestinian refugee deportee, I feel responsible for what happened to my Jewish brothers and sisters. I feel serious responsibility. But I have no feeling of guilt whatsoever. I'm not guilty for what happened to them. I'm responsible in the sense that I'm ready to make an alliance with every human being so that such horrors be never ever repeated anywhere against any human group or any human person. This is the sense of responsibility I have. Because I remember what happened, because I know the horrors and the suffering that these people have endured. Yeah? And there were so many Holocausts. The Armenians have had their Holocaust before the Jews. And that was not just a genocide. Yeah? What does make a genocide genocide and the Holocaust Holocaust? What's the difference? What's the difference? What's the criteria? You kill a people because they are Jewish. The Armenians were killed because they were Armenians, nothing else. The Rwandans passed through their Holocaust. I was in Cambodia. 3 million were killed in less than 5-6 years. They were not killed. They were buried alive. I have seen that with my eyes. I was in Cambodia. So is that simple genocide incident? Why do we give monopolies of names that become so much loaded with meaning, with history, with an unhealthy mentality, the one who installs themselves to be the victim and all the others must be the persecutors? That's sick. That is sick. I am the one who is trying always to remember the horrors that happened against my Jewish brothers and sisters and refuse any attempt to repeat any kind of suffering against any Jew. Yeah? And I am a Palestinian who have had their many Holocausts during the past century. We do not want to play the victims. We do not want to remind you of what has happened with your complicity, with their complicity. It's not our interest. We want to look for the future, for something better. Yeah? So we don't want to be stuck in the sadness of our past because we don't want you to play the persecutor and we don't want to play the victims. Yeah? It's not healthy. When Israel was created 58 years old, years ago, this land was not nowhere. This land was not without a name. It had a name and it had a nation. And if we read Theodor Herzl's writings, mainly the famous booklet, Neu Altland, the New Old Land, he wrote a formula that's perfect. A land without a nation belongs to a nation without a land. That's perfect. Nothing more perfect than that. But one of his assistants, Landau, came to her and said, Theodor, Palästina ist überbevölkert. The land you treat as empty land, which is Palestine, is overpopulated. And his answer was famous. We have to be kurzsichtig. I say the words in German because he wrote it in German. Yeah? We have to act with short-sightedness. And this short-sightedness became, unfortunately, complete blindness, even of a lady who did so many things for her nation, Golda Meir, who dared say one morning, Palestinians, such thing does not exist. I'm happy she's not God to decide whether we exist or not. No. Yeah. That's okay for me, but for her it's a tragedy. Because she cannot explain the problems and the troubles they are in this land because of the existence of another nation, the Palestinians. I know since Golda Meir died and since then we have made many progresses. Now the Jews know the Palestinians exist. Now they realize intellectually that they cannot have peace without having justice. But emotionally, what should we do with justice? As one of the leaders, Barak, when he was campaigning, he said, if I were a Palestinian, I would become a terrorist. Because I would claim Haifa, I would claim Jaffa, I would claim Tel Aviv. All these were Palestinians. If that is the conception of justice they have, it's worse than the dream for peace that they nurture. Yeah? There's something in between. Okay? So 58 years ago, the world problem started with the eviction of the Palestinians from Palestine and with the creation of the state of Israel. We have to acknowledge that. Otherwise, we can fool ourselves day and night. That does not mean we question the existence of the state of Israel. No, we don't question that. We question the quality and how it was done, what has it created for another nation that became the Jews of the Jews. That is the tragedy, okay? Not the creation of Israel. I wish Israel a very long life, as long as God wants them to survive. I'm not against, I'm for that. Because Jews like you, like me, were created on the image of the likeness of God. And they deserve a home, they deserve a homeland, they deserve freedom of expression. That never was in question for me. The question started when the freedom of expression they wanted for their children meant my Palestinian children remain without any freedom of expression. And I could not agree on the second part. When the home they wanted meant that my home be demolished in Barham, I could not agree on the second part. When the homeland they wanted for themselves meant that my people become a nation of refugees, of deportees, of marginalized people, of people without any human right, I could not agree. There's something basically wrong. Yeah? This is the trouble, not the existence of the state of Israel. It's the over-exaggerated ambition to look at Palestine as the white people who went to America looked as the newfound land. As you looked at America as being the new promised land for you. And you took it. You know what happened to the Indians. Here they came and saying, this is like the Americans went to America. We have our Indians, the Palestinians. Unfortunately for them, we're not the Amerindians. Yeah? We have a culture, we have a history, we have a story, we have a blood, we have a race, we are Semites as the Jews, if not more, and they wanted to ignore all of that, and that's why there is the tragedy of the Middle East that has some side effects on the whole world. I had here in this house only 2 months ago the Israeli defense minister. We were speaking, we were 9 people here, we were speaking about peace and justice and about peace for the future, security for Israel. I said, my dear friend, you will never have any freedom, any peace, any security in Israel. All the time you continue to consider yourself as a foreign body in the Middle East, and you try the impossible to become the 51st state of the United States. As soon as you change your attitude and you try to become the 21st state of the Middle East, you will have doors open to your neighbors. But as a complete foreign body, you have no hope. So either you convert or you are losing. This is our tragedy today. So with the creation of Israel, the Palestinians were dispersed into 3 major groups. Those who fled were deported, ethnically cleansed to the Arab countries, Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, Egypt. Others who fled and were deported but did not want to go as far as the Arab countries, they said, we will remain in the vicinity, in the occupied territories, in the territories that are not under Israeli control. The West Bank was under Jordanian control, and Gaza was under Egyptian control. And they remain there. They are by the hundreds of thousands. To give you an example, the city of Jericho, the village of Jericho, is 13,000 inhabitants with the suburbs. But the 2 refugees camps on both sides of Jericho have 120,000 refugees. They're no more there now. They were refugees there till 1967. 1967 they were pushed eastwards, and they became now refugees in Jordan, Al-Karami. And the third group were the Palestinians who managed, despite odds and problems, fear and threats and persecutions, to remain inside the territory of Palestine, which became Israel. Like this village, like me, my parents, my people here, and presently we are 1,100,000 Palestinian, Arab, Christians and Muslims who became citizens of the State of Israel. The Christian among them are a small, tiny minority. 137,000 Palestinian Christians. Surely, thank God, we know that we are not born Christians. We were converted by the power of a missionary to Christianity. You know which missionary came to this country to teach us about God and about love. And he converted us. Do you know when, the dates, the history, the name, the nationality of that person?
Jesus.
Palestinian. Palestinian.
He's Palestinian, yes. It is Jesus Christ himself. The first Christian community were the men from Galilee. And Galilee was the rendezvous of the resurrection. Get out from the sepulchre, from your sepulchre, go to Galilee where you meet with the risen Lord. And it was the day of the Pentecost when he gave his Holy Spirit. His Holy Spirit, come on. He sent his wind. Ruah, ruhu, ruh. It means his wind, not any mild wind, a strong wind. And when the wind becomes strong, you call it no more wind. You call it storm, right? So he stormed them. Stormed their minds, changed their preconceived ideas, renewed their vision about themselves, about the environment, and make them realize that for those who are in him, there is no more privilege for Jew against Gentile, man against woman, Lord against slave. It's very powerful. Why? Because you are all called to become adopted children of God, even you Americans. Good luck.
Amen.
It is then that Christianity started in this country. And we seriously think that we are the descendants of the first disciples and apostles. So who were there in the upper room when the day the Holy Spirit stormed my forefathers? These all were my forefathers. Some of them were Jewish. So if I hate the Jews, God forbids, I'm hating myself, and I don't. Some of them were Romans. I can't hate them. Some of my blood is Roman. They were Greeks. There was no American. But there were Arabs there. The first day, as we read in the Acts of the Apostles. All these different affiliations formed one new, genuine community called the followers of the new way, that's led by a man called the man from Galilee, Jesus Christ. It's then that we became Christians. And I am convinced that the 137,000 Christians in this country have a unique mission, a unique ministry, and a unique opportunity to show the love of Christ, the unconditional love of Christ. This is the first time ever that a majority of Jews and a majority of Muslims are living with a very small, powerless, relatively poor Christian community who has nothing to give except their faith, their values, and their belief in their Lord. And I think this is a huge responsibility for us. That's what explains to you the reason why we Palestinian Christians, we don't go too deep into analyzing situations, into philosophizing, into theologizing. These are excellent, these are too smart for us. Yeah? I learned 14 years philosophy and theology, and I swear I forgot everything. Because my mind was not with the philosophy or the theology. I was too busy remembering and telling a historical story of a man from my country. We are too busy telling the story of Jesus Christ, not of the philosophy of Christianity, the theology of Christianity, the reform, the re-reform, the not yet reformed Christianity. All are your business, do whatever you want, but please take the reality of our compatriots as we have received it from our forefathers. Do not try to guess. Take the historical story and do whatever you want with it. That's why Palestinians are normally very good storytellers. And that's a fact. So, how do we differ as Palestinian Israeli Christians from our counterparts, our people in the other side, in the West Bank and in the refugees camp? Well, here in Israel, we are citizens of Israel. Not full-class citizens, second-class citizens, but citizens. Means if I had my pass, I show it to you, my ID is 02, while the Jew is 01. So that the police knows to whom he has to deal with. I have nothing against 02, it means nothing for me, provided the Jews are 02 also. And if they have a psychological problem of being 02, they want to be 01, okay. I have nothing against being 01, 2, or again also. But all the time we are 01, 02, we risk to be reduced into zeros. And the danger has been proved to be a real danger during last war with Lebanon. The myth of the invincibility of Israel. the myth of exporting wars from inside Israel to the neighborhood was all destroyed. It's not true anymore. Israel has to be careful. Yeah? If they do not integrate the surrounding, the environment, if they want always to be exceptional on a pedestal, on a table, they will always be looked upon with envy, with some hatred. Yes. Yeah. That's why the Christians in Israel, the small community, is not in the occupied territories. We are no more in occupied territories, it's Israel. We want to be integrated into the body of the state of Israel, to build the society together with our Jewish neighbors, hand in hand, and one hope, one vision, with the respect of our own personality, specificity, symbols, religion, and values. We're trying. So far, there is a kind of strange attitude. Every time we make a step forward, we ask, are they sincere? Will they accept us if we make another step? So we make a step backwards. Every time they make a step forward towards us, they also say, well, are these genuine Christians, or these are the descendants of the Western Christians who always have a second agenda? So they back up. Yeah? And it's a very strange dance that I am trying my best to break it. I say to the president of the state of Israel, when he was still president, I said, you know, we have many problems with you. I have a problem with home demolition. I have a problem with lack of jobs, opportunities, equality, justice, teaching, education, so on. You should not be afraid of us. You can persecute us. You might kill us, destroy our homes, deprive us of everything. One thing you will never be able to teach us. I said, what? I said, to hate you. Because hatred is corruption, and we'll never accept to be corrupted with hatred, mainly against persons like you, the Jews, with whom we have so much in common, although you deny that through history because of your bad experience in Western society. So this is our hope now, to be able to integrate this state of Israel and to be partners in building up this state for all its citizens, not only for the Jewish citizens, because all the time Israel is a Jewish state. For the Jews, it can never be a democratic state. It's impossible. We are 20% of the state of Israel, we Arabs. All the time we are marginalized, not fully accepted, not fully cared for as much as we are required to pay our duties and our tasks. Then it can't be a democratic country. It's impossible. The difference between us inside Israel and the Christians and the Muslims in the occupied territories, they are not looking for integration with the state of Israel. They are looking for liberation from the occupation, which is the right attitude. They are looking for a state so that they can relate to Israel as state to state, which is understandable. But their requirement, their dream is different also from the dream of the Palestinian refugees in the Arab countries, Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, Egypt. Those are not looking even for statehood or for any liberation from occupation as much as for a return to their homeland, to their home, to their villages. So, different levels. And logically speaking, if our Jewish friends today are asking compensations, not for their homes in Germany during Nazi regime, but for works of art, paintings that were hanging on the wall, They ask now compensation for all those if you can prove it. Well, goodness, they have the right so much. And the Palestinians, who became the Jews of the Jews, who never persecuted the Jews, who were never part of this horrible machine of persecution. Palestinians have no right to think of any kind of return or compensation. That's too much. That's too much injustice. That's too much imbalance in our consciousness. Yeah. And that's why we have no peace.